Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. It's your host, Stephen Schmidt, and you're in for a real treat today. I got Alan Hon here in the house, here in the studio with me, and we're going to be talking about some real estate, per usual. If you're joining us for the second, third, or 100th time, welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. I know it's about to be a regular on your listening docket for your podcasts. Alan's got over 20 years in this business, over 2 decades. He's done a little bit of everything from the designing, the locating, redesigning, building, flipping, holding, all of the stuff, and he is an absolute expert when it comes to the real estate space. We're real excited to have him here in the studio today. So just remember, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses, which allows them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. With that being said, Alan, welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk about some real estate with you here, but before we get started, can you just share a little bit about yourself and how you got here?
Yeah, well, specifically how I got in front of you today is I moved from Iowa to Florida to work in that market. My wife and I purchased a distressed property on a lake that we wanted to renovate for the church and just be able to congregate. And that all started years before that. I had met her, and we came up with a vision from years of experience. She's in the mortgage and loan business. I am in the flipping business. Worked for a home builder who built about 150 houses a year. I mean, it just goes back 20 years. What we have seen is just an evolution of God. We're followers of Christ, and God just kind of directs us in a pathway. And now we're at a point where we want to serve others with all of the years of experience that we have had, and just really help people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, you've worn almost every hat in the real estate world. How did you actually get started in it?
Oh man, again, it was like 2006, bro. I, uh,
Yeah.
I bought my first house with a lease option purchase agreement. Never even heard of those things. I had $1,500 in my pocket. By the time it was time for me to get the loan, I did some work to it. I changed out the carpet, I painted some things, I just freshened it up, and then by the time I got the loan, it was worth like 26 grand more than I needed to buy it. So I realized I'd kind of stumbled onto something, and at the time I was a retail manager working like 70 hours a week, and I'm like, man, I could do 2 or 3 of these a year and not have to do that retail job anymore. So
Right.
um,
And then have all your
so.
time freedom.
Oh, yeah, well, I thought so. But then what I wound up doing was I tried to do it all myself because I figured, you know what, I'll save the money by paying the contractors and do it myself. And then within a year, I could only do about a couple houses. I realized I'd bought myself another full-time job,
Mm.
and I was probably would have been better off financially just having stayed at the place. And so I've learned a lot over the last 20 years, that's for sure.
Now, so you've done like I said, a little bit of all of it, right? Designer, builder, investor, realtor. What does real estate mean to you today?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And I'll tell you what it means to me is I'm sorry. I mean, real estate investing to me, people do it because they want to get rich. For me, it's always been about helping that house, helping that person. Um, it sounds silly, but some of the houses I started with were literally rotting in the corner of some neighborhood. And I think most people listening know that the key is to always buy the worst house in the best neighborhood. So I've been thanked so many times for fixing these places up, and you're able to sell a nice house to a family that maybe can't afford that new construction home. So for me, it's been more of a thing of the heart to be able to help the neighborhood, help the people, help the house. As I mentioned earlier, I touched on it earlier, my wife and I, our goal next is to start building and renovating houses to sell to. We want to specifically target veterans that for affordable housing. And my mom herself is a veteran, and she struggles to pay her own bills sometimes and can't afford a nice apartment because of she's a retired person from the Army. And it just kind of like really we want to take it to that next level, man, and just help people through real estate.
Love that. Now, one of the things you mentioned in your bio that I got to read before the show was your strengths were faith, vision, and determination. I love that. Can you unpack how each of those plays a role in your approach to the game?
Honestly, when I talk about faith, right now we are a good example. We're in a church plant in Knoxville, and there's about 30 families that are moving across the country to come help restart a church that was dying here. And
Wow.
from a real estate perspective, you think about the opportunity that could present. There's 30 families that want to move across the country. They're going to need housing, right? So an opportunity from a faith perspective is for us to support those people in that mission in a way that we can go ahead of them, because our network of churches is called Salt Network. They have about 40 churches across the country now. Our target is college towns, because we want to go reach the next generation of college students and bring them closer to Christ. Well, and within that, they identify cities within the country that they want to go in, and they want to be in more than 400 cities by the next 20 years. So that's 10x where we're at now. So from a faith perspective and a service perspective, somebody who's been flipping houses for 20 years, who's married to a mortgage loan officer, you can see the possibility that exists of going to those cities, finding those properties, fixing them up, and just helping people that way.
So is that kind of the plan for you right now? Like, are you guys planning to be in Tennessee for the foreseeable future, helping with this church, or like, what's your timeline on that look like?
Well, right now, that church launches in August, and what we're identifying is we want to start a nonprofit, and our both my license and hers are, she's licensed in multiple states, but right now Florida is a great market for us, and there's a lot of opportunity that exists down there. So first step will be to help this church along that journey. The executives within that network that does that launch has identified us as people that they are going to put in front of those who are looking to move. And I'm actually part of a brokerage that has nationwide reach. So no matter what city people are going into, I'll be able to either help them with my license or help them through someone else, and just kind of partner them up with people. But Yeah, we're looking to work more specifically.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
To help grow the network in that kind of capacity, but also help build a nonprofit ourselves that can help veterans find affordable housing.
Mm-hmm. Now, where's home base in Florida for you guys?
It's a Gainesville market. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Gainesville, Ocala, those are pretty hot markets right now.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and surprisingly, you wouldn't think Gainesville, Florida is a good market for short-term rentals, but
Right.
by the time you slice down the university and the hospitals and the VA, and like you just got to do your homework, and it historically has been in the top 10 cities within a very desirable state to have short-term rentals going. And
100%.
Ocala's blowing up like crazy, man. Ocala's blowing up.
Right. Well, it didn't Ocala. They have that Amazon warehouse that's going in there, right? Have they finished that yet, or when is that supposed to be done?
That I don't know. Ocala, believe it or not, is the horse capital of the world.
Right.
So what's really a big factor there is all the folks coming with their horses to attend events. And an interesting thing from a short-term rental perspective, that person's looking for a different house and they're looking to rent in Gainesville, Florida. So you got to do your homework and know, okay, well, what are people looking for and how do I get ahead of that?
Yeah, 100%. That's super cool. I've got a friend of mine in Tampa that has horses and goes to Ocala with him and his daughter all the time. So I lived in Florida for a stint, and hopefully we'll be back there as soon as possible. So we just keep having kids and needed to be with the parents, and they're in Kansas currently. So.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a great town. I mean, it's there's a lot to do there. The college is big, so Gainesville, Ocala. I mean, it's Central Florida, so you're going to be in the swamp. So I think most people associate going to Florida to go to the beach, but that's just not the same gig there.
Yeah, 100%. So kind of getting back on topic though, we got off a little bit there. Can you share an example of a project where you took a property from problem to profit, maybe one that involved quite a bit of redesigning, rebuilding, things along those lines? Ugliest house in the best neighborhood.
Dude, I'll tell you what, the house that we bought, I told you we moved from Iowa to Gainesville to help our church plant down there, and we bought a house. So my wife had done the research, and she sent me five houses. I was in Iowa at the time, so luckily by having the experience I have, I can look at the pictures, run the numbers, do the due diligence. And in doing that, we identified a property on a small lake, and we took that property to the studs, bro. We ripped the roofs, the ceilings out of it. We vaulted the ceilings, moved some walls around, because the strategy in that, as we knew, was going to be to have a short-term rental attached to the house. Well, what we wound up doing was gutting it to the studs, putting a 700 square foot deck on the back. We made the whole place a retreat, so we were able to service the church. To the financial outcome of it, we rented the whole house for about $750 a day to people that were coming for graduations and different events like that. So at the end of the time when we went to go sell the house, not only did we cash flow it out for that number of years, so it's paying for itself, but then you sell that, we made about $150,000 on that project. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, well, and what's incredible about it is, I mean, you have to have the vision in order to know how to move the walls around and how to get the right things to do. But the project, after we did that one, we bought a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath, same kind of thing. We gutted it to the studs. We got a great deal on the property, and just put it all back together. And that's currently cash flowing as a short-term rental in that same area. So,
now, have you primarily done fix and flips? Or is buy and hold a pretty big piece of your strategy?
I'd say I've done.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Probably more fix and flips, but I started my investing career as a buy and hold guy. Back then, the strategy was to buy as many multi-units as I could because I thought the key would be to get as many people as I can under the roofs. And what I learned through that experience was I we wanted to buy properties that we didn't need to do as much work to. In doing that, you're paying more for the property, so you're going to cash flow it less, and you don't have as much of an opportunity to raise the rent. So at the end of all that, I had about 13 properties, and I was only making like $1,500 a month. So then I went back to doing single family stuff, and now what now what we're doing is buying distressed properties and fixing them up and either flipping them or turning them into short-term rentals. But we're still primarily working with distressed properties right now. I've spent the last 2 years studying the ADU tiny house market, and Gainesville specifically allows up to 3 ADUs and a lot of lots. So you can have one attached to the house and two in the yard. And if people in Gainesville, specifically that market, they're looking for smaller homes because it's more of a in and out kind of a experience there. So you could do a tiny house in your backyard and the thing could pay for itself in 2 years.
Mm.
So
Really?
now we're combining the years that I've done this and the years I've done that and squishing it all together to see what makes the most sense. Makes the most dollars and cents, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
So,
So,
with
and with
20 years
20
in the
years in the
game, I mean,
game,
you've
you've
probably
probably
seen
seen
every
every
kind
kind
of
of
challenge.
challenge.
What's one of
What's
the
one of the
wildest
wildest
curveballs
curveballs you've had to solve in a project
or
or
a
a
deal?
deal?
Oh man, I'll tell the ones that have bit me the most was the one I did, the 2 bedroom 1 bath in Gainesville. We bought sight unseen, no inspections because we know it moves fast, man. So it was just like, all right, good deal on a good house. I can't imagine much that will be which would make us go sideways on it. We opened up the front porch and termites had eaten all of the wood underneath the floors, and we wound up spending way more money on that project than we thought. But I mean, it's still cash flowing. It's still going to pay for itself. It just results in a longer payout. Back in the Midwest, when I was doing stuff, the weather caught me up on something up there. We bought a house that we knew was going to need a septic tank. What we didn't know was when we went to go pull the permit, the county required us to redo everything. It wasn't just repairing the tank. It was sometimes when stuff like that gets to be too old, the county will have updated zoning restrictions or whatever, and now you got to replace the entire system. So doing your due diligence up front, I guess, is the biggest lesson I've learned, man. Because and if that deal, if buying it sight unseen, no inspections required, is you gotta prepare some deeper pockets for what you might find.
No
No
kidding.
kidding.
Now, so
Now,
like on
so
the
like on the
termite house,
termite
they
house, they
literally
literally
had
had
eaten
eaten
out
out
like
like
basically
basically
everything
everything
underneath the
underneath the
floor.
floor.
Oh yeah, the floor joist, the main support beam. So I had to jack up the house and put a new beam underneath it and redo all of the floor joists underneath the porch. But and what can get you in trouble with stuff like that is even if you do a termite inspection, they can only inspect the things that they can access. So if you've got
Right.
skirting around a house, they might not even go underneath there. So you definitely need to prepare for the contingencies, those what ifs, you know.
How do you
How do you
prepare? How do
prepare?
you
How do
stay
you stay
prepared
prepared
for
for
things like
things like
that
that
when
when
real estate
real
is
estate
just
is just
completely
completely
unpredictable?
unpredictable?
Well, one of the lessons I learned is, and I tell investors all the time, if you've only got enough money to do one house at a time, you shouldn't be doing it because
Mm,
you got to have enough resources to where if something goes bad, I got enough resources to draw in and come up with a different exit strategy to recoup that investment. So when I first started this game, I had enough money to buy one house, and luckily the first few houses went well, and I made some money off each one of them. But when I wanted to do scale, then I needed to have enough resources to buy more than one, so I could have one that was in process, one that's getting ready to get jumped into, and maybe one on market. So the way you stay prepared is to have enough resources to where if something does go sideways, you're not going to go belly up.
You're bringing up a very excellent point here that I want to go a little bit deeper on. So how much do you think somebody should have, like from a monetary standpoint, before they start doing like a fix and flip or buying a property to hold? Obviously, wholesaling, little less risky. Don't necessarily have to use your own money. But once you're taking on, a hard money loan or whatever else, and you've got an $80,000 nut potentially, and you got no money, like obviously you can get yourself into a pickle if you run into unpredictable situation. So how much do you think somebody really should have put aside that they're willing to lose even to start doing deals?
Dude, that's a great way to say it, man. Is you got to be prepared to lose it. It's just like if you bought Apple stock or something, like you never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, minimally, when I look at doing a project, I inflate it by 10%. So if my rehab budget's going to be 100, I need to have 110 set aside. Again, I would not even, the investors that I'm working with now, one of the problems I had working with investors who, if you only got $10,000 in your savings account and you want to invest that in real estate, you can't afford to put your whole thing in that, because there's one thing that you've touched on a few times is real estate is a very unpredictable market. The exit strategy might be different. Specifically down in Florida, there are people who have bought houses in counties and they thought they could turn it into an Airbnb, but they didn't do the due diligence to know that they can't even do that in that county. So I'd say, to answer the question, minimally 10% on top of whatever you think your rehab budget's going to be, but also can factor in what your carrying costs are going to be, because a lot of people will budget out for a rehab and they're just counting up what the drywall is going to cost. Well, what is it going to cost you for your mortgage and your insurance and your taxes and your, to keep the lights on? And what happens if it takes 3 months longer to sell it? I did a project in the Midwest, and at the time I was working with an investor. And you can actually get in trouble working with investors who have too much money too, because they're not financially motivated enough to sell that property. So Good example of that. We bought one that was $250. We only had a budget of 15 because we were just going to put some countertops in it, maybe bust out a wall. And by the time within 7 days, we got an offer for $327. So we would have each made like 19 grand on this deal. And all he did was put up the money. But him and his wife didn't want to sell. It was getting a lot of traction, because what you'll find is when a house is new, it's going to get a lot of traction. Long story short, we wound up carrying that house for almost a year, and all of our profits were gone in carrying costs. So even though the rehab money we were on budget for rehab, if you don't price it right or don't take that offer and talk about, well, what's the minimum we're going to take for this house and how fast do we want to sell it? Work those details out too. You can get lost in the carrying cost for sure.
Wow. That's a great point. We've got someone in our business association who I'll try to disguise it a little bit. But to your point, he's got a property that's let's say worth $2 million, and he bought it for 1.5. At all in, he's trying to sell for 3.5, but he's had the property for 14 months.
Yeah,
and it is a seven-figure property. I'm inflating the number a little bit to kind of keep it. So if he hears this, he knows I'm not calling him out. But literally his expenses every single month are $6,000-$7,000.
Yeah,
and he can't sell the house.
Yeah. Well, and imagine like those of us who like to scale. I mean, one of the things I wanted to do, I at one point I wanted to get out what I called the kiddie pool, because a lot of people like to invest at a low and sell as high as they can, maybe make 20, 30 grand on each one. But that's such a competitive place to be. Like, what if, like, let's use Florida as an example. I can find you half a dozen properties right now that you could literally make $1 million on, just that one house. but there's so many contingencies in that. What if this and what if that, and you got to find the right buyer and all of those things. So if you're going into that with big eyes and being like, all I see is the number, all I see is the number, and you're not pumping the brakes a little bit to be like, okay, what are the average days on market in that neighborhood? What houses are selling in that neighborhood? And doing a lot of that kind of stuff, then you can lose a lot.
Sure.
Do you are you a believer in
owning your own house that you live in
or renting?
Well, but what I was taught is you should never own anything, right? So it's all in the LLC's name. Multiple reasons for that, but one of the interesting things about being a beginning investor was I got to a point where I had commercial loans. I could buy everything that I was doing in terms of a project. But any smart person wants to minimize their tax burden, so you're going to have your accountant hide all that or get rid of all that. And all of a sudden now you go to buy your own primary residence and you qualify for a house that you wouldn't even buy for your commercial business. So yeah, the key I've learned, I took that Fortune Builders course. I'm not sure if you guys ever talk about that program, but in that program they talk about own nothing, control everything. So
100%.
that's a key. Yeah.
I think it was probably Chris Crown that I heard this from originally,
but he was talking to someone in India, I believe.
And he asked the person who was very well to do. He said, "What's your guys' word for wealth over here?" And he said, "Well, we don't have a direct word that translates to wealth, but the closest thing that we have is whatever word it was, and it meant circulation." So keeping money circulating at all times, so that way it never sits.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and I think what you can look at with people like Grant Cardone is there's a certain exception, because I mean his money is always moving, and typically he got started and got big with using other people's money, which is wonderful. But if you hold that multi-unit big complex for 1 or 2 years to where you can get the rents all to escalate up, I mean that's how you get wealth in those kinds of situations. So when people talk about keeping your money moving, I mean you got to have a plan on how long that's going to be and how long. What's the number?
Right. Now, so for somebody that's like looking at getting started, where should they begin? What's the biggest blind spot you see?
I would say you got to be honest with your skill set and your level of like design management, that kind of, because honestly, man, everybody thinks real estate investing is sexy, flipping houses is sexy, all of that stuff. The biggest blind spot is to know that it's not HGTV out here. And you got to know either you know what you're doing or have people on your team that know what they're doing, and target what you're passionate about. There are a lot of people making a lot of money that are building short-term rental businesses, and they're doing it by either purchasing or building affordable places in areas of the country people want to be. I'm not a fan of staying in your lane necessarily, because commercial real estate, there's a lot of numbers attached to commercial real estate. So if your goal is to just make as much money as you can make, then get the resources around you, get investors behind you, and be like, okay, I can show you that I know what I'm doing. So let's pool our resources together where we have enough resources to go that direction together. So the collaborations are huge. If you try to do it by yourself, most investors I've met over the years, man, they've got enough to they get excited because HGTV is exciting, and maybe they've got $100,000. And the thing they don't recognize is $100,000 is a lot of money, absolutely. But when you start buying $75,000, $100,000 houses, that's gone in one house. And what happens if that house doesn't go well? Then now you just lost everything. So what if you use that same 100 and you spread it over 3 or 4? And you've got 25 in each and 4 of them now, and you're using other people's money. Obviously, you got to use private money, hard money, whatever you got to use. But I recently watched a clip from Warren Buffett talking about people that are the most wealthy in the world leverage debt. They're not going into using their savings account. They're leveraging debt, and they're pooling the resources and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I know you're real big on service and giving back to other people. I mean, you mentioned it several times here on the show that this isn't just your get rich strategy. Rather, it's kind of your way of building something to give back to others. So, what kind of legacy do you see leaving behind for your family and the people you serve?
And honestly, I want it to be a legacy of service. When I die, I want people to know that my heart was in it to help people, and not just help myself. Like, I'm not the Ferrari guy. I would use the money from the Ferrari to buy 10 other properties and help 10 families. So a legacy of service for sure. And I mean, my strategy, honestly, though, I mean, there's a point where you should be able to do well by doing good. So there's enough out there, man, you could really help a lot of people, especially with affordable housing. And there's so many houses just sitting out there rotting. So if you knew what you're doing and you had the resources to do it, you could help. My wife right now is looking into a program that the government's creating to help Indian Americans, Native Americans. And there are specific programs out there designed to help specific people in specific ways. So educating yourself on what those possibilities are that exist and how can I use that to help the most people. I mean, that's so, I mean, the whole Grant Cardone thing, when you think about people, he's obviously a billionaire. He's doing what he's doing very, very well. But people like that, the strategy is to buy something and then make the rents as high as you could possibly make the rents. So then when you can sell the property is worth more zeros. I get that. Right. If that's your strategy and you want to just make a lot of money, that's a way to make a lot of money for sure. For us, we want to serve. We want to help people.
Love that. Well, Alan, thanks for being here today. If anybody wants to learn more about you or what you're working on, where should they go for that?
Well, mostly our Facebook pages. We have Advent Homes on Facebook, and my private Facebook. I mean, obviously, I take people through that. Right now, I'm transitioning between brokerages. The one I told you that's got nationwide reach I'm a real broker. So I can help people throughout the entire country. My wife is licensed in several states. So probably the best way to hit me up is on Facebook. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's show. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.